We're here at CNU 19 in Madison, Wisconsin. My name is Peter Katz. I was the first executive director of the Congress for New Urbanism back, I think, in 1997, somewhere around there. I also convened the first meeting where the first 3 congresses were planned with the founders. There was just, I think, 5 at the time. Andres Dwani, Liz Plater-Zyberk, Liz Moule, Steph Polyzoides, and Peter Calthorpe. And we were talking about a set of ideas, and they felt that they needed a series of meetings to work out the concepts, to flesh out what we all meant by this new urbanism. And originally the plan was just to have those first few congresses and wind up the whole process. That, you know, we just needed a few meetings to discuss some basic principles, agree on some ideas, write a charter, and we'd all declare victory and go home. And here we are at the 19th Congress, and the process has continued on. And to me, what's interesting, I guess, is, you know, just at the point where I feel we're beginning to start to recycle old content and tread water, some new issues come bubbling up. You know, this year it was agricultural urbanism, and we've got a new administration in Washington, D.C. that's taken a few years to work out their policies, but they're very supportive of the things CNU stands for, and they're finally at a point where things are starting to really happen. The money's beginning to flow. The opportunities are defining themselves, and you know, depending on whether that administration stays in for 4 more years or it's just a blip on the radar screen, that's going to determine a lot of the future course of communities in America. And somehow always there begins to be this sense of urgency about what we're doing, and there begins to be a sense that there's a real reason why we've all come together to discuss these things. And as we contemplate CNU 20, and as I think about this organization that I had a hand in launching, and what we've done in the 15 years since I've been directly involved, it prompts a lot of soul searching. In a lot of ways, new urbanism has not kept the energy and the forward motion that we once had. In a lot of ways, the green building movement has stolen a lot of our thunder, grabbed a lot of attention. The term smart growth is probably more widely used than new urbanism. New urbanists, in some ways, are seen as, oh, you're the designers. You're the front porch picket fence guys. They don't think of us when they think of issues of regional survival and regional economic development, and you know, what does the future mean to America's cities and regions? Are we going to become an irrelevant footnote in global politics because the cost of operating our communities has simply become so great that the economics of other more productive places simply outflanks us? Particularly as we contemplate this larger geopolitical stage, we're no longer the dominant country on the earth. You know, China produces the things we use. So what's America's role going forward? And the fact that we selected a suburban pattern as a way to build out our communities, and we now are committed to the costs that involves in terms of maintaining the roads and putting gas in our cars and fighting wars to keep the gas flowing. We've taken on a huge amount, and I'm not sure that people see the relationship between new urbanism and some of these larger problems we're experiencing. So, and you know, my background is marketing. So the question is, you know, are we the brand that people think of in terms of solving the big problems going forward? You know, it's been 20 years now. If we were going to do it, in some ways we should have done it by now. CNU 20, you know, is it a cause for celebration, or is it the opportunity to kick ourselves a little harder to do better in the next 20 years? And over the years, we've veered between design and policy. Our members enjoy design, and our funders, they're not going to fund a bunch of designers sitting around talking. They're going to fund, they want to get into the pithy policy issues, issues of social equity and recovery of our inner cities. How do we preserve natural corridors? And how do we deal with greenhouse gas emissions? So CNU's got answers on all of those, but I think in a lot of ways we've allowed ourselves to be put into a pretty small box. And we need to break out of that box. And perhaps that's what some of the next gen folks are going to do. I think they come at this with a sense of urgency. I should feel a sense of urgency because I see my dad living in an old folks home, barely able to walk. In fact, he's in a wheelchair, and he has been for years. His brother lives in Tel Aviv, only a few years younger, but his brother's completely mobile because he's living in a city that encourages activity. He's out hanging out with the college students. He's never home. He's living in a great walkable city. Years ago, my dad talked about moving to be with his brother Sam in Tel Aviv, and I can't imagine. I keep thinking that if he had gone there, he wouldn't be sitting in a wheelchair today because the community he's living in. Well, I pull back to my own situation, thinking about, well, where am I going to be in 20 years?